consumption, production, and ecosystem restoration. So this webinar is in collaboration with Switch-Asia RPAC and UNEP. RPAC is a regional policy advocacy component, and this is also a UNEP, this is a component of UNEP as well. So in collaboration with this, we are hosting this webinar. It is again, as we celebrate the World Environment Day. So I think it was an apt topic for us to come up with this kind of a webinar. So let me just give you a little bit background. As I think most of you know, most of our students are here, and they know that our, the college campus has been accepted, or it is a part of a, it is a pilot campus of a UNEP project on green nudges. So this project has taken us a little bit time, to go ahead with that. Actually, they came up with this project. UNEP came up with this project in December 19. And then, not December 19 and maybe a little later also. So we were, continuously looking at this, some opportunities where we could contribute towards, sustainable development from our side. So they came up with this project and they, asked for some applications. So we filled those applications and then we were asked to write some implementation program. So we did that and then we were selected and, that is how we became a part of Green Nudges. So UNEP came up with the concept of Green Nudges. So there was a presentation by our college done on 20th of May at UNEP as to how we came up with this project and how we really gathered momentum, how we strengthened our partnerships with students and faculty, and what else we are going to do. So we made a presentation in UNEP on 20th of May. And then as a part of this Green Nudges program, we were supposed to be doing some webinar. So Ms. Gaytri Raghwa, who is a constant link between UNEP and other, institutions of higher education. So she's my good friend and she connected me to Switch-Asia. So that is how, I got in contact with Archana Datta, who is a project coordinator. And that is how we planned that let this webinar be on sustainable consumption and production, because Switch-Asia project is basically on sustainable consumption and production, which is a sustainable development goal from the United Nations. This is goal number 12. So we were just thinking as to what all can be done. And then we decided that maybe we will take up the food nudges forward. So while we were discussing few things, so we came across that food being a most important component during the pandemic. So I think everybody has evolved, to eat healthy. And then we have realized as to what is healthy eating. And also we are looking at other components as to, how the food is packed and how the food is going to be served to us, what is the importance. So we took up this particular area. And I think the entire webinar is planned like that now. So I really welcome, as of now, I really welcome our principal, sir, Dr. Jatinder Singh. He's the principal. And he's always there. He's always supporting us on various occasions, various endeavors. Rather, everything that we do, he is a constant support with us. Then we have with us Dr. Mushtaq. He's the regional coordinator, resource efficiency UNEP, and he's the project manager, Switch-Asia RPAC. I welcome you, sir. And then we, I think if Gaytri Raghwa ma'am has joined, I don't know whether she has joined. So she's a consultant at UNEP Environment Education. So even if she has not joined, she'll be joining us in a moment. And then another presentation will be made by our colleague, Dr. Gobind will be making a presentation on green nudges. I also welcome her. And then, as we go on with our webinar, so Miss Nivedita Varshne, she's the project manager of Bhumika. So basically, she has already joined us. and she'll be speaking on organic food supply chains in India. And then the other speaker is Mr. Ganesh Koligal. So he is from Swiggy. I think Swiggy is a very popular name. Everybody knows Swiggy, and we are in love with Swiggy, be it what. So, he's already with us. And then lastly, we will have Archana Datta, and I really welcome her, and I really, see that she has supported us throughout with this webinar. So yes, I welcome all of you guys. So thank you so much for being with us. But then very quickly, I really want to take you to my presentation, because I feel that unless I do that, and majority of the students, they are the undergraduate students. So if I'm not making the presentation, I think it's fair on my part to deal with sustainable consumption and production. So just give me a moment. I'm just sharing my screen. Please stop sharing the screen. Okay. So as you see the first slide, what will happen if we continue to consume resources as at present? So besides UNEP, there is an organization which is called by Global Footprint Network. This is an organization which is also dealing with sustainability issues. And according to them, if we continue to, if we continue to live like United States, as you can see, then we would be needing something like 5 Earths. 5 Earths. So here, what is the meaning of 5 Earths? That means the people in United States are consuming resources more than what they need, more than what they can produce. So basically, the resources they are using at 5%, 500%. So all these, the countries that you see, the word is not enough. And if you look at United States, it says that 5 Earths will be, they will be needing 5 Earths, 5 planets. And in case of Australia, this is 4.1. In case of Russia, this is 3.2. Switzerland, Japan, and Italy, Spain, China, Brazil, India. India is obviously consuming less. And if we look at, word on an average basis, then we say that this is 1.75. So basically, what does it talking about? Ecological footprint. So this global footprint network launched Ecological Footprint in 2007. The care of Global Footprint Network is the ecological footprint, which is a comprehensive sustainability metric. The ecological footprint is the only metric that measures how much nature we have and how much nature we use. So that means there is a question of demand and supply. So on the demand side, the ecological footprint measures the ecological assets that a given population requires to produce the natural resources it consumes. So it includes basically plant-based food and fiber products, livestock and fish products, timber and other forest products, space for urban infrastructure, and to absorb its waste, especially carbon emissions. So this is on the demand side. But if we look at the supply side, then on the supply side, there is a city, state, or a nation's biocapacity, now which represents the productivity of its ecological assets, which is including cropland, grazing land, forest land, fishing grounds, and built-up land. So these areas, especially if left unharvested, can also absorb much of the waste we generate, especially our carbon emissions. So the biocapacity of a particular surface represents its ability to renew what people demand. So if a population's ecological footprint exceeds the region's biocapacity, the region runs on ecological deficit. So that means that if there is a deficit, then what do we mean by this? So it basically means that its demand for the goods and services that its land and seas can provide exceeds what the region's ecosystem can renew. So we are demanding much more than what our ecosystem can renew. So the region's ecological deficit here means, I mean, if there is an ecological deficit, that you can meet this demand by importing or liquidating its own ecological assets, such as overfishing and or emitting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So if a region's biocapacity exceeds its ecological footprint, it is an ecological reserve. So the data is taken from this particular website. So students, first year, second year, third year students, you can just refer to this slide and learn more about it. So if I show you this graph, this is the ecological footprint of the entire world, as you can see. So if this is measured, the unit of measurement is global hectares. But if you look at this green side, this green line is called, this is the biocapacity of a nation or biocapacity of the world. And this red line represents, the ecological footprint of the world. And this is the deficit. This is the deficit, and this is the reserve. So, as you see at the x-axis, these are, the number of years is started from 1961 and it goes up to 2016. So as we have progressed from 1961 and we have gone forward towards 2016, the deficit, ecological deficit has been increasing, and it is increasing and increasing. Okay, so countries with ecological, now which are the countries, where the ecological footprint is exceeding its biocapacity? So, where the supply is, less and demand is more. So according to data shown on Global Footprint Network, India is at 173%, US at 122%. And then if we look at, the Middle Eastern countries such as Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, now this is overshooting is above 1400%. And Singapore is all-time high with 9,950%. So if we look at countries with biocapacity, where the biocapacity is exceeding ecological footprint, so now you can see that this is Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Russia, European nations such as Norway and Sweden. So I'll just quickly show you this interactive chart. So even if I put it here, so now you can see this is the data for the world. It starts from 1962. So if I'm here, now you can see that the biocapacity per person, yes, if I put it here, biocapacity per person was 3.1, whereas the ecological footprint was 2.3, and now there was a reserve of 0.5%, and as if we are moving ahead and we are going towards 2016, then you can look at this place, biocapacity per person remains 1.6, but the ecological footprint remains 2.8, so there is a deficit of 1.2. So if I just close this and move this everywhere, so you can see that these are the countries, which are having more of biocapacity. In case of India, we have more of deficit. In case of Australia, again, this is more of the reserve, biocapacity reserve. But then this is again a very, very, I would say, an alarming issue as to how we can do and what all we can do. So related with this is again another concept which calls about a Earth Overshoot Day. So I think, I don't know if most of the people know about it, but then this is another measure as to what is an Earth Overshoot Day. So Earth Overshoot Day marks the date when humanity's demand for ecological resources and services in a given year exceeds what Earth can regenerate in that year. So in 2020, humanity used 60% more than what can be renewed. So, or we can say that we lived on 1.6 planet. So Earth Overshoot Day was on 27th August 2020. So this is more than 3 weeks later than last year, whereas in 2019 it was on June. It was on July 29. Now you see this Earth Overshoot Day. This data is there from 1970 to 2020. So now you see that this is starting from 70 and 2020. And every year, you know, what does it mean? That every year we are consuming the world's resources on a particular day, right? So as we are moving ahead from different years and as we are coming closer, so you can see the graph, you can see this bar graph, and then you see, you know, our resources are getting over. But 2019 is exceptionally a year because COVID-19 happened, and COVID-19 caused humanity's ecological footprint to contract, demonstrating that shifting resource consumption pattern in a short time frame is possible. So, however, true sustainability that allows all to thrive on Earth can only be achieved by design and not by disaster. So that means we really have to do it consciously. We must try that these overshoot days, I mean, should prolong. They should not come early, rather they should come later. So that means in a year's time, you should be able to get the overshoot day by, let's say, by December or November. But then it is coming, the day is coming early. So we have to protect that. So Earth overshoot day, 5 days, we can move the date. Planet. So first thing is the planet. So humanity's quality of life is dependent on the health of our planet's biological resources, including fertile soil, clean water, and clean air, necessary for humanity to thrive. Then cities. Second point is cities. How we design and build our cities is crucial. Then we have energy, how we power ourselves, food, how we feed ourselves, and then we have the population. And then how can we prevent ecological overshoot? By incorporating these suggestions, I think we can commit to reduce ecological footprint and make a positive impact. That is by reducing is what? Your use of single-use disposable plastics, switch to renewable energy, eat less meat, reduce your waste, recycle, responsibility, drive less, reduce your water use, and support local. I think this is a very, very brief presentation, and I just wanted that since majority, the students are there on this platform, so I think it becomes our responsibility that we, we tell them and we show them as to what all they can do. And with these words, I really want to thank for making this brief presentation. And now I want to invite our esteemed principal, our respected and esteemed principal, Dr. J.P. Singh, for his opening remarks.
Can I
thank you, sir,
Dr.
and I welcome you, sir.
So Dr. Memon, as he mentioned, he has to leave at 11:30 for another event at China. So if we can request him to speak first and then he can leave.
No issues, no issues, no issues. Yes, no issues.
I'm really sorry for that, sir.
No, that's okay.
Hello. Yeah, start.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Principal Gaytri Singh, and I'm sorry for that, and also Madam Gill. So I think there's a quite intensive already the presentation on the facts and figures by Madam Gill. So I'm not going there. I'm just mentioning that World Environment Day, which is every year is organized on 5th June by the United Nations Environment Program, and that is to bring a lot of awareness and the commitments, the pledges, and so on. And as you may recall, 2 years back, India was the global host, and the focus was on the plastic pollution, Sarvaj Bharat. And Prime Minister Modi ji was on the front, like leading all the activities, including how to restore our rivers, how to restore our forests, even cities, and so on. So every year, this World Environment Day brings a lot of enthusiasm. And most of the enthusiasm comes from youth. And before I get into there, as India again this year has produced a wonderful song, Dharti Ka Dil. So may I request that 1 minute song to be played, and then 1 minute I will conclude that after the song, please. Anyone can play?
Jyot, can you play this song, please?
सारे जानवर, पंछी, पेड़, पौधे जो धरती का दिल है, आज हमसे कुछ कहना चाहते हैं।
ओ धरती का दिल क्या बोले, धक 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 धक। खुद जी लो सबको जीने दो, खुद जी लो सबको जीने दो, मेरे लिए जरूरी सब।
हम सब एक वचन लें, एक प्रण लें कि हम साथ मिलकर इस धरती की रक्षा करेंगे, ताकि आपका और आपकी फ्यूचर जनरेशंस का रहना जो है इस धरती
To give back Mother Nature, Mother Earth, and look after her.
The way we treat our planet, we do not realize that the planet we call home needs to be taken care of, else it will stop caring for us.
There's a reason we call our nature mother, because it is a source of life. And we take her for granted every single time.
The next decade is going to be extremely crucial when it comes to climate change. This is no longer something we can continue to talk about. We need to act, and we need to act fast.
So on this World Environment Day,
let us reimagine,
recreate,
restore Mother Earth.
Let us get together on 5th of June to support this initiative.
Thank you. So basically, as you see that, the spirit is all about youth, because you have the future with the universe, with the earth, but also you have the future as the great leaders, as the great scientists, as the great social workers, and so on. So basically, how you think today, how you design your future, that will be not only with you, but that will really create a difference for this Mother Earth. And as today, on the one hand, I'm very thankful for the European Union for the support on Switch-Asia, but more important to the government of India, that they have put so much like enthusiasm, and especially as you see that India's biggest population is a young, like you. So how you are going to change your lifestyles, as this Nudges is a project at your school. So it's important to see that what we consume, as Madam Gill was showing you, the different like reducing the methane emissions by reducing the meat consumptions and so on. But more important also is that how we eat. It's very important. If you see historically, like how we drink tea, whether in the glass like a shisheka glass or pots and all this, that tastes different. How we eat dal, that's very different. Like now, we have been eating like while walking the chips and throwing the plastic bags, like sipping the juice and throwing the juice packs and all this. It doesn't really taste even good. On the one hand, we are creating a lot of littering, a lot of challenges, but it doesn't get how we eat, like how we sit together instead of checking our mobile phones. If we have a proper like lunch tables in together and with the proper utensils and everything, you enjoy the conversations, you enjoy the new ideas, you do the brainstorming and everything. So how you change the lifestyles, and that affects the great food that tastes good, and also reduces a lot of plastic packaging and other waste, and that's important. So at that note, I would like to take that you should make a pledge. You think about that. By the end of this workshop, Archana ji is there from UNEP. So you can send email to Archana ji with your one pledge, that in 1 year, what would you do to keep the sustainable food practices or sustainable packaging practices. So I leave at that note, but again, I'm really sorry I'm jumping to another event to China, but I'm really thankful to Principal Bir Singh Saab and also the Shri Gill. So thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. Now I want to invite our principal, Dr. Jatinder Singh, for his remarks. Sorry, sir, Dr. Mushtaq had to leave.
No, that's perfectly okay. Thank you, Dr. Kamal. I understand probably you're stressed a little, overstressed a little. So that's so I will be brief so that others can actually speak for the turn. I got very warm welcome to Mr. Mushtaq, Nivedita ji, and Mr. Ganesh and Archana, whom I'm seeing on screen. I'm very delighted to be part of this webinar, and environment is something very close to our hearts. One of the reasons is that we are undergoing through this pandemic, and we all understand what the bad environment can, how bad environment can actually affect our health, and what a phase of life that we have seen. And this realization, if you understand, I think our responsibility towards the environment must be responsibility. It becomes more and more, and amongst the youth. What Kamal was discussing in her presentation was that that how production is less and the consumption is more. And I was just reminded of how the governments and the corporates react to those challenges. What they think is that innovation is the only way we can do it. For example, oil. For oil, they said that you switch over to the renewable resources. You rely more on sun. You rely more on wind. And if it is any other resources that we are eating too much, so we think that if we can innovate and rely on alternative sources of energies and other places. Since the topic relates to the youth, and we being in an educational institution where we have a lot of youth and what I'm looking at is that we have a institution where almost everyone has a university degree. And if we talk about the corporates, 80% of them, the decision makers, have a university degree. But if you look at the globe, then only 2% of the people have the university degrees. So that's how multiple behaves, and that's where the responsibility of the youth who has a university degree, in order to awaken the masses, it becomes of paramount importance. We at our college level, Dr. Archana, I must tell you that we have environmental education as one of the hardcore subjects that has been put in at the undergraduate level. That's just what we teach the students to make them environmentally aware. And that's not the, I mean, of course, when we design those courses, that we design it in a way that it creates awareness among the students. But as you know, when we design our syllabuses, we don't involve industry, and we don't involve experts like you and Mr. Mushtaq and other people from industry. That's one of the reasons why the syllabuses become kind of a separate silos where the others from the industry can't come in and play much a role. So in actual, we would like that we can do more projects and we can do more case studies, and we do that at our college. One of the teachers who teaches environmental sciences take them to biodiversity parks, and one of our faculty members has also done a project with the MCD for the segregation of waste. So see, small attempts are being made so that the students feel more motivated and they become aware. So one part of his education, but the other part, of course, is changing the attitudes and the value system, and that is where the students, faculty, and the overall environment plays an important role. That how we actually make students aware of the environment, and since the topic relates to consumption and production, and if you can make students aware of their consumption patterns, and especially living in India where the population is huge, so the consumption demand, I was looking at the data that Kamal displayed, that how such a populous country and resources being so limited, how actually we rely on, if we have, in the years to come, we have more production, we'll be eating up more of the resources that we have. And so what is the right kind of mix, whether we rely on the resources of the other countries where the average is less, and we'll pass it on to our countries where the average is more skewed. So that's a question that we would like to hear from the experts as to what is a sustainable way of involving students, so that we know that ESG is educational for sustainable development is one of the important goals of United Nations, as compared to what ECG is for the corporate sector, where we commonly hear of the stock markets and others which are playing more and more emphasis on environment and social and governance standards. So similarly, in the educational institutions, where we are talking about sustainable education, and so that students become aware of the topic. So I would like that if Archana can pass on some of the things that we need to do at our educational institution, so that we have a huge army full of energy and they're ready to do anything. But they also need to be told, because they are in an age where they need hand-holding and more awareness as to what is the responsibility towards the other countrymen and also for future generations. We are reaping the benefits of what our previous generations probably did not overuse. But if we overutilize our resources, therefore we are leaving little for the future generations, and that's what we need to make aware the present generation. So I'm very happy that Kamal and Archana and other team members have organized a talk, a webinar on this topic, and we would like to understand the more sustainable way as to how we can take things forward, and that will be a lesson to us in educational institution, and look forward to understanding it from the experts who are going to speak. Thank you, Kamal, and thank you, Archana, and other members of the.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for always motivating us and always supporting us throughout our endeavors. Well, now we have Mrs. Gaytri Raghwa. She's a consultant UNEP on environment education. So she's a good friend, and we have much to learn from her. So I just invite her.
Good morning, and I am so very happy to be back in your college once again, but this time virtually. Last time when I was there, it was an amazing experience. I was so happy to see so many of young people. I was really surprised. We keep telling young people, as youth today, they don't take responsibilities. We keep telling, but then in that college, I found it totally the opposite way. They were so responsible. They were so amazing. And I was really, really impressed. And it's been a pleasure to work with you, Dr. Gill, and your college, and all of you. And so here I am today on this World Environment Day. And I'm so very happy that you're continuing with whatever work that you've been doing for years together now. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what we are doing at UNEP for the higher education establishments. And we've got a range of stuff that we do with the higher education establishment. We look at providing or guiding higher education establishment with a sustainability framework. So how does a campus or a university, when do we call it sustainable? How does it become sustainable? Sustainability in terms of curriculum, sustainability in terms of its operation, sustainability even in terms of its thinking and perception. So how can we build that around? So we build a sustainability framework. We are looking from UNEP to establish very soon, we will be having an India Green University network, and I hope your college is going to be an integral part of that India Green University network. And apart from these two things, we do several programs. In the formal education way, we try and look at, can we introduce more interdisciplinary and more multidisciplinary curriculum, especially related to environment in colleges? And we have two major programs that we are looking at. One is Race to Zero, wherein many of the youth are now trying to connect, and the campuses are connecting, and they're trying to pledge towards reducing their carbon emissions and joining in the world's effort to combat climate crisis. So I'm really pleased to say that your college has been an amazing, amazing partner, and you've joined in each and every one of our projects that we've reached out to you with. And of course, I need not say about the Little Book of Green Nudges because that is already spoken about. You've been amazing. And you gave, I mean, I must say this, all of you students, it was great hearing your college, Dr. Kawal Gill, talk in front of so many other universities, the experience and the journey that you're having with Little Book of Green Nudges. And today being the, the ecosystem restoration day, the farmland is one of the important ecosystem that needs to be restored as well. And when we talk about farmland being restored, farms are important places. We need to have in our farms the bacteria, the insects, the pollinating agents, and all of them. In other words, we need to have a sustainable farming going on so that we are able to maintain our farmlands in a right manner. When we talk about farmland, of course, the farm produces food, and that is where you're connecting today with the food. So on this Ecosystem Restoration Day, in your own manner and in your own style, using food as your major topic, you're connecting with the ecosystem restoration and you're trying to contribute your bit towards restoring our farmland areas, which are so much in need of restoration because we've really overused our farms, we've degraded our soils, our water levels are going down. So we really need to do something about it. And it's been a very great journey, and I am happy to be here today. And I think my colleague Archana, did you want to ask me a couple of questions? She texted me. These days, we work with our WhatsApp and with our laptop. And me being a senior citizen has to be really, really strong and put on different kinds of eyeglasses. So there you are, Archana. Do you want to ask me some questions? And anybody wants to ask me a question, just text away.
Thank you so much, Gaytri ji. It's always a pleasure listening to you, and we really love your passion at UNEP. I hope I have the same passion when I'm of your age. So a lot of questions. We received a lot of questions from students who registered for the webinar. And ideally, we had intended to take them at the end of the session, but I believe you have to leave for another event. There are so many events which are happening these days. One of the prime questions which a lot of youth asked is what can they as citizens and as youth do to support more sustainable development? How can they take charge for ensuring that the development which is happening is sustainable development?
Thank you, Archana. And it's an amazing question. I mean, I think the youth can answer it better, but let me try and be a youth at the age of 64. So one of the things is youth are called as change agents. They are change agents. They set the trend. Whatever the youth do, and that's what the world follows. So I think youth have a large role to play. If you look at the world's population, we have a very large youth population in the world. And in India, we have nearly 50% of our population are youth. So when we talk about sustainable development, definitely what they want to do, what kind of jobs that they want to do, how do they want to go? Do they want to opt for green jobs? Do they want to even take up some kind of entrepreneurship? And today is all about your Switch-Asia and talking about young entrepreneurs. Do they want to take entrepreneurship in the field of, coming up with green businesses, with green jobs? How can they generate? I mean, they can be entrepreneurs themselves. I have seen an amazing area of youth. I mean, you won't believe it, right from school these days, the students have started working for the cause of environment. And they're not only studying, but they're also working at the same time. Yes, they are at a very small level. And I think if we get sufficient number of youth engaged and involved in the field of environment and sustainability, then I think the world can change very fast for the better. We keep having this, gloom and doom kind of a scenario. Climate change is happening. COVID has come here to stay. We don't know what is good. If COVID could do so much of damage that it did now, what would climate change do? I mean, we had these 3 days of intense wind in Delhi, and we were all sitting at home in the night feeling scared. At least I was feeling scared. But then we keep wondering if this is going to be the norm, how would we react? How would we, can we reverse the trend? Is sustainability a dream, or is it just, can it happen? And I think it can happen because I think the youth are already on the way. I think we are behind schedule. Today, all the audience that are sitting there today know far more than I would ever know, even though I've been in this field for a long time, because they are feeling it, they are reacting to it. We've seen all the youth coming out in the open in favor of protecting the environment. I think if the youth raises their voice and they take it up really strong, I don't think it's, sustainability is going to be a kind of a myth. It will become a reality. And I think they will turn it around. They will definitely turn it around.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gaytri ji. I'm sure the youth have the power to turn it around, and they will ensure that this dream of sustainability becomes a reality soon. So as to say, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you. All the best.
Gaytri ji, will you stay till end or you'll be leaving?
No, I will stay till end, and I will just mute myself and listen to all your lovely talks and questions.
I really had to change my room because internet was giving me some problem, Anyway, it doesn't make a difference. Anyway, Archana, you can go ahead with the rest of the program. You can introduce the speakers one after the other.
Sure. Okay. So now we have with us Ms. Nivedita Varshne, who is the country director at WHH India. She is leading a very interesting project on organic food supply chain. I've gone through their website, the Bhumika website. It's very interesting, very amazing work that you've been doing in that project. So Nivedita, without wasting much time, I would like to invite you and share your experience with the project with the youth.
Thank you so much, Archana, and a very good morning to all of you. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and wish you a very happy Environment Day in advance. So from something which is global, we've heard so many things about what we should do and what on ecosystem reservoir, on conservation, restoration, and on resetting a relationship with nature. I will narrow down to something what we do in our everyday lives around food, the COVID pandemic has brought out like nothing else the risk from zoonotic diseases and the link with biodiversity loss, So what can we as individuals do on conserving agro-biodiversity? So I will, just a little bit about myself. I come from DWHH. It's Deutsche Welt und Weltbild. It's a German organization. And we work globally in about 40 countries on issues related to food and nutrition security, environment conservation, water conservation, green livelihoods. I can share my website with you. So today, briefly, I will take you through an initiative called Bhumika. We will go through what we collectively as consumers can do on conserving agro-biodiversity. And I will also share a little bit about what WHH as an organization is doing. So as the name Bhumika shows, it's like Bhumika, it comes from the earth. It is an initiative by WHH with support from EU Switch-Asia. And it's a program which promotes organic food value chains. So food value chains means, we support organic production by farmer producer organizations, certification through the participatory guarantee systems to sustainable consumption, So it's an entire value chain. But I must also say that Bhumika is much more than organic, So it's not just about substituting substituting chemicals with organic inputs, It's about ecological production. It's about conserving food, about water, about biodiversity, about the entire ecology. It's about agroecological production, And the punchline we have is, it says clean, green, and fair food, So clean means food is grown, transported, and conserved without using agrochemicals or GMOs or adulteration, and maintaining the purity of products. Green means ecological production practices to increase the productivity, to improve the water use efficiency, to make low carbon packaging choices and promoting agro biodiversity, indigenous and desi varieties which are rich in nutrients, So it's all about local, seasonal and fresh produce. And fair means fair pricing for the farmers, So it's about transparency and traceability for the consumer. So I think I will explain this better through a short film on Bhumika. So I would request the IT support to please play the Bhumika video quickly.
What comes to your mind when you think of this?
Organic to me is something which is completely natural.
We look out for greens, mostly greens which are very fresh to look at.
Basically, we try looking for the health benefits. I don't know about the taste, but it is healthy and it can help our body, and in this environment and all which is so polluted.
But there are concerns and questions as well.
For organic, we have to look out कि कहाँ जाके लें.
है तो malls काफी, but organic foods limited है.
And then we also go on for price as well.
Organic products are readily not available everywhere. You have to generally go online, and the prices are like way higher.
What is the authenticity that this is really organic?
Do you know where your food comes from? Mostly from small farmers. Meet India's friendliest food movement. Bhumika, India for Eco-Food. Bhumika supports ecological farms in India. These farms produce safe food, protect the environment, and promote biodiversity. Bhumika promotes clean, green, and fair markets for these farms.
इसमें रासायनिक दवाई हम कभी नहीं डालते हैं, जैविक खाद डालते हैं। ई खाद से जो अपने को जो ऊर्जा चाहिए, शक्ति चाहिए सब्जी में जो उत्पन्न होती है, वो अपन को भरपूर मात्रा में मिलती है।
और जहाँ पर रासायनिक दवाई का उपयोग होता है, वहाँ पर हमारी ज़मीन भी खराब हो रही है और सब्जियों एक साल तो ले सकते हैं, लेकिन लगातार हम सब्जियाँ उत्पादन नहीं कर सकते रासायनिक दवाई से।
Bhumika promotes food that is grown and processed ecologically, without any chemicals, and without any threat to the environment and habitat. It promotes food that is local, indigenous, healthy, and nutritious. Bhumika collaborates with smallholder farmers to create a mechanism for transparent and fair market access.
So that you know your source, you understand the issues of pricing, why organic food is a certain price.
Bhumika brings in various stakeholders together, such as farmers, processors, retailers, street vendors, and consumers. Bhumika is a brand. Bhumika is a platform. Bhumika is a movement for creating access to clean, green, and fair food for all. Food produced in harmony with nature. Food free of toxins. Food that is ecological and is grown with love and care. Food that is not only tasty but also ethical.
Thank you. So that's in short about the program. So about the Bhumika program, so it's, as you can see, we are trying to promote local food systems, so eat local, have food which has a low carbon footprint. And what is special about the Bhumika program is that it addresses the demand side of the entire value chain substantially through consumer education and creating that pull factor for ecological food, So it's all about changing the mindset of the consumer, because we all know the power of consumption. We know that consumer is the king. And I will just give you one example in your daily lives on how you can change so much by just changing your consumption pattern, So for one example is consumption of millet. So I don't know whether you know what millets are, but this is what our grandmothers used to call mota anaj. But today the world is realizing the benefits of millets, not just in terms of health benefits, but in promoting agrobiodiversity, promoting water conservation, water use efficiency, and the tremendous health benefits. Millets have a whopping amount of nutrients, including proteins, dietary fiber, B vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and you name it. So what's really interesting is the millets are highly tolerant to increased temperatures, droughts, and floods. In general, they consume about 70% less water than other crops with minimum inputs and almost no pesticides. So just an example, 200 liters of water are required to grow 1 kg of millet, as opposed to almost 9,000 liters of water for growing 1 kg of rice or wheat. So the point now is how, by changing and by making the switch to sustainable foods, and millets is just one of them, we can actually change the way farmers produce. So increasing demand, increasing supply, better agrobiodiversity, more environmental conservation, more water conservation. So this is how we as consumers can change. So what our program has been trying to do is to change the mindset of the consumer and to pull the ones who are sitting on the fence, on the borderline, to ecological consumption. So this is what we're trying to do. Let me try and show you in brief, maybe just a couple of slides of how we are trying to change consumer education. Just a minute. Yes, can you see this? Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I will quickly go to consumer awareness of how we are promoting awareness through farmer markets, food festivals, fairs, cooking demonstrations, farm visits, training on urban gardening, and food and nutrition education programs for schools. So in this connection, I would really like to come back to your college and have a program here, because we go to various colleges and we interact with students, and we try and see what their consumption patterns and how the switch can be made. So also we conduct shows on detecting adulteration in food. We hold discussions in yoga sessions, yoga clubs, RWAs, also participating in fairs, in many fairs, putting up food stalls with organic food, cooked food, which is also very healthy, local food, on arranging farmer markets outside the RWAs. Of course, working with schools. So working with children is always so much fun, because children are always so enthusiastic, so willing to learn, and they carry back the learning and the enthusiasm home to their families. And how through this change of mindset, we also reach out to the families. So we organize food tasting sessions, farm visits for children. And also school gardening. So urban gardening, school gardening programs have been a super hit, because children love participating in the school gardening sessions. So when you grow your own food, you touch and feel it, you understand the process, you understand the importance of food, and then you understand that food should be grown sustainably without packing it with chemicals or spraying it and harming yourself. So when we do organic or ecological urban gardening with school children, that's something you see a complete mind shift. Yeah, I would like to play this film, where one of our partner organizations, so we work with NGO partners. So one of our NGO partners actually produced a film. It's a project coordinator who turned into a YouTube anchor. I'll quickly try to show you this. I hope it plays.
There is no audio, I'm sorry. We can't hear.
Sorry, there's no audio?
Yeah, the audio is not coming.
Okay, so I'm not sure how I can get the audio, because I can hear the audio.
Ma'am, you'll have to stop the screen share and again share the screen, and there would be a check mark for sharing the sound. So you have to click that.
Okay, just a minute. Maybe you can play it actually. Maybe the IT support can play this. Or maybe I can wind up actually. So this was just to give you an example of how we've been campaigning for ecological food. So over to the next speaker. Thank you. That was from me.
Share the link in the chat box so that anybody can see.
I'll do that.
Thank you so much, Nivedita. It was really a wonderful presentation, and I'm sure the students and the professors here would love to have you on their campus and learn more about the initiative. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a few questions for you. I know that we are running behind schedule, but I hope you can stay for a while and answer those questions which the students have asked us. Okay, thank you. So moving on, I would now invite Mr. Ganesh, who is AVP, Government Affairs at Swiggy. The initial idea for us was to have a presentation from Bhumika where she talks about organic food. Then we move the conversation to sustainable packaging material, which Reha Mazumdar-Shaw from Ecoware was supposed to make, but because of some family emergency, she could not join us today. The third speaker we have now, Mr. Ganesh from Swiggy, and from him we would like to learn more about what initiatives are you driving at Swiggy to basically manage the plastic and packaging waste, and how are you trying to reduce and manage the large amount of packaging waste, which is mostly plastic, at Swiggy. Over to you, Ganesh.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. We are on the cusp of morning and afternoon, and good morning and good afternoon, everyone. And I'm very thankful to Switch-Asia RPAC and UNEP, which is organizing this World Environment Day webinar in collaboration with Sri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce. Happy World Environment Day to everyone, and we look forward to a more livable and a sustainable world in the future. And I'm very, very optimistic and confident about it. So to begin with, it's been a very challenging time for the whole world, the last year plus, almost now 1.5 years. And we have seen that people's lives have been disturbed to a large extent. And in spite of that, we have to carry on. And during this time, I would like to state that e-commerce companies have made a lot of difference to the lives of people in getting them both the essentials as well as non-essentials, and food and medicine, all the deliveries to their doorstep so that they stay home and safe. So from that perspective, I think there's been a huge uptake in terms of the citizen consumption through e-commerce. So I would just like to draw a couple of things, to set the context. As you may be aware that plastic waste management rules of 2018, and which was amended, recently, also spoke about the various categories of waste streams and generators, and the various business entities which are actually categorized as part of this. So with respect to food, it's actually part of the it comes under the we've been advocating for waste generators. And you must have seen that after the Honorable Prime Minister gave a clarion call in terms of eliminating the single-use plastic, in a particular time frame, and by 2022 we are hoping that a significant amount of single-use plastics will be eliminated. And with respect to food packaging and the waste from food packaging, if you see that the food packaging, basically what is used is basically food grade containers which conform to more than 50 microns, and that's very critical since it has to retain the taste, the temperature, and then the food reaches in the state that it was prepared. So that way, the containers in which the food is packed is actually conforming to the guidelines that actually the government has issued. And if you see the other packaging around the, which the food packaging, is used, the industry uses, there is a significant amount of elimination of single-use plastic. If you see that, if you've ordered food recently, it comes in a brown, wrapper, or a bag, which is the shopping bag is there, which is made of recyclable material like cotton, etc. And then the food grade containers inside, and then the dry things are actually use aluminum foil for wrapping. So that way there's a huge amount of adherence. And then going forward, I see that this is going to be almost completely adhered to in the near term. But one thing I would like to draw attention of the students who are the audience here, if we've heard the 3 R's, reduce, recycle, and then the 3 R's which we've been hearing right from our school days. So this can be actually practiced when we order anything from e-commerce, like food containers. I would say if you're going to, after consumption, please wash it so that the intrinsic value of the food container, the plastic of that food container is there, which can be recycled. Or you could wash it and then keep in store for things at home where the reuse ability comes in. So this is very critical, because even if you throw it away, when it goes into the waste stream, it's picked up by the stream, and then it's taken for recycling. The same way, there has to be at the individual level, the conscious and the diligence effort to segregate the waste, which is very critical. If we are going to segregate waste, then all the recyclables get picked up. There's a very good informal recycling stream that is prevalent, and India is one of those countries which has a very robust and a vibrant unorganized sector in the informal sector, where it gets picked up and then it's taken for recycling. So the most important thing as students, and then as the votaries of sustainable living, and students are the future of any country. So please segregate waste, and then when you dispose of anything that is recyclable, please see to it that you wash it, clean it, and then it's then disposed, so that it can be picked up and then taken for further processing. This is a very critical conscious effort that each one of us to do. And then, of course, if you can use that container for storing something, that's the best, so that you are reducing whatever is going out into the recycling stream or in the waste stream. So I feel the industry has made a huge conscious effort in terms of packaging, where sustainable packaging has come in. There are a lot of research that's happening in terms of packaging material, where more percentage of recyclables are put in, and which conforms to the food standards and others, and then new containers are coming up. If you see the other packaging containers, if it is wood or if it is paper, they don't actually retain the flavor or the taste or the ambient temperature, and they're very expensive. There are other issues, like if you're using paper, too much of paper for packaging, it puts a strain on the water that's needed for the processing in those industries. But at the same time, recycling is the best way to conserve whatever new raw materials that can be used, like trees, etc., to be cut for making paper. So I feel it starts from the colleges, and this is a very topical and a very contextual webinar, where we are addressing the students and their how they can actually participate in carrying forward this message at the individual household level, at the relative and then the near and dear one kind of circle, and then at the community level, where they can work hand in hand with the whole ecosystem to encourage sustainable practices, to encourage recycling, reusing, so that consequentially we reduce the usage of materials which are derived from fossil fuels like plastic. So this is a very critical message that needs to be carried forward, and then small pilots can be carried on. I remember, when I was immediately after college, when there was a huge amount of focus on environment post the 1992 Rio Summit. In fact, I published 3 papers during the time on waste management. So we used to, sensitize the communities in terms of waste segregation, then, reusing and recycling, and then thereby reducing the plastic or any waste that is being generated, and then organic waste that's being used for vermicomposting, etc. So from the industry, I can say that there's a big initiative that's happening in terms of recycling, and then in terms of sustainable packaging, and then new research. There's a lot of research that's happening, and then we can see in the coming years in terms of the impact it can have in conserving a lot of the ingredients that we use today to prepare new packaging material. So the message is, for the students out there who are listening, please participate and sensitize your community and start at an individual level. And like I was saying, that please clean up all the containers that where you order food, and then so that the intrinsic value of the material is intact, and then it can be taken for further processing. I would like to close my presentation here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh. I think you've given a very important message to students that, I mean, of course, we have certain limitations with regards to the packaging materials which are available currently, which can be used and are more sustainable for transporting and delivering the food. But I mean, right now, what we can do is we can clean the container so that they can be recycled in the streams easily. So that's a very important message. I'm sorry about that. So I will now request Professor Gill to take over from here.
Thank you, Archana.
I'm sorry, let me just, yeah. I'm sorry, my son just intervened. I'm really sorry about that. So we now have Dr. Gurminder Kaur. She's associate professor at Sri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce. She is going to talk about the Green Nudges, the efforts that they have done at college level for the Green Nudges program. I'm really sorry. I had to invite you at the beginning of the session, but because I mean, when you're working from home, there are so many things that you have to manage that out of confusion, I just missed inviting you first. So over to you, Professor.
No worries at all. Thank you so much for inviting me, Miss Archana. So good morning to one and all. I think we've heard so much about the sustainable lifestyle and sustainable habits, and what all big huge contributions are being made by UNEP and Switch-Asia and Swiggy and Bhumika and all. So from my side, just a small modest attempt that we at our college level are trying to do for this. So the little book of Green Nudges has been mentioned. Our college has been taken over as a pilot campus has been mentioned. So just allow me an opportunity to give, just a briefing of what we've been done. So just a second, I'll just share my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So just to summarize where we are at this stage and where we started with in this journey. So United Nations Environment Program launched this little book of Green Nudges, which has already been mentioned, at the World Economic Summit on 1st September 2020, which is a quick guide to reducing environmental impact of campuses through behavioral change in the form of concise and user-friendly publications. So UNEP, as we've already said, youth is the most important, class where such kind of behavioral changes can actually be made. So UNEP is collaborating with such institutions of higher learning which are interested in having sustainable behavior change at their campuses and are committed to take the journey of green nudges forward. So just to give a very small briefing, nudges are those positive and gentle persuasions that are meant to influence behavior and decision making. They are basically creative ways to enhance sustainability. So as sir was already mentioning, he was giving a message to the youth that we should follow all the sustainable habits and then we should take the message across to others. So these nudges, the concept of these green nudges, which has been initiated by UNEP, is basically to, give those gentle persuasions or push, which can in a very, very positive way impact the behavior and lead to change or to more sustainable behavior. So we at Shri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce, which is affiliated to University of Delhi, are actually very, very proud to be chosen as a pilot campus for UNEP's initiative of Green Nudges. Okay, so our college is very committed already to having environment-friendly, sustainable practices throughout our campus. Just to name a few, we have a very sprawling, lush green 10-acre campus with environment-friendly state-of-the-art infrastructure. And we've already been doing so much. We have environmental societies, and anyway, we have been having a lot of effort towards sustainability already. Just to name very few here, we have a hybrid system of wind and solar panels for electricity generation. We have rainwater harvesting in the campus. The college is committed to segregation and management of e-waste on the campus by installing e-waste collection in collaboration with E-Waste Recyclers India. And we do have solar water heaters along with water harvesting units to optimize the use of alternate energy resources. So just a few, pictures to show you a glimpse. I wish it was not a pandemic and we could have invited you all to our campus and shown you, how green campus we have and what kind of, solar panels and e-waste bins and all these initiatives we have been taking. Okay. So now I would like to take you briefly to our journey of Project Green Nudges in our campus so far. So the plan that we laid out once we were chosen as the pilot campus was the first step was creation of a team. Second step, pilot survey about the existing behavior. So if you want to change something, you do want to know what is the existing behavior already. Then we decide upon the online awareness campaign. The next in our series we've planned about a series of webinars, online competitions, introduction of nudges at the campus, and then finally measuring the change in the behavior. So now let me show you what we've already done and where we are at this stage. So the first step that we had was creation of our team. So we created a very well motivated team of faculty and students who had passion towards environment sustainability. So we had a core team, then we chose a students core team, then we extended our team, and then we picked up some few, nudges out of the 8 or 9 nudges given in the little book of green nudges, and we decided first to work on them. So as our second step, we conducted a survey about existing behavior. Google Forms were created to conduct a pilot survey amongst the students on perception of green nudges to just check what is awareness of students for green and sustainable environment, sustainable lifestyles, to check if they were aware about any kind of, campaigns that were already being launched by the state governments or by the college campus. So we got an overwhelming response from 263 students. Now the third step, the problem was we are still in the midst of pandemic and campus is closed. So we had to try and promote the concept of green nudges and their influence on having sustainable behavior through digital platform. Now we've done this awareness campaign in 2 ways. One is we did it internally to spread it amongst the youth of our college by publicizing on college website, college mobile application, and informally on the college WhatsApp group. We have more than 50-60 college WhatsApp group where students are very active. Then we did that externally to the youth of our college and all those who are attached to it by using social media handles like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, right? And just a brief, a description of how we went about. So basically our campaign had to be in 2 parts. One was to spread awareness and then the second was implementation. So to spread awareness, we had, we had posters like water and energy. Then we started with did you knows. So some information about if we conserve water, if we conserve energy, what kind of, things that come up. So just to attract the attention of the students, then we went to the second nudge, which was reduce waste. So again, we had did you knows for that. Then we went on to mobility. So if you are trying to, avoid or reduce carbon emission, and you are trying to make big benefit of this, then you have to encourage students to go in for public transports, to go in for carpools. And then the last most important that we tried was the food nudge, right? So food nudges reduce the footprint. So there are 2-3 aspects of food nudges: how to reduce wastage of food, how to go in for the share the bag. So whatever extra you have, you are trying to share it with others. How to go green with, organic food, plant-based food. So this is all that. And now the next step, that if we decide to follow for implementation, the problem was that we still do not have our colleges open. So probably we will again try and implement some nudges online only. So the rest of the steps that we had was series of webinars. So as you all know, today is the first webinar in this series of webinar, where we wanted to make our students more aware about the environmental sustainability, sustainable lifestyles, etc. So I think today has been the most informative and innovative webinar towards this. And specifically, since we are celebrating World Environment Day, then we will go in for online competitions. Maybe we can have a green competition week where we can ask students to submit projects that address environment and sustainability issues through social and technological innovations. Then the most important part will only will come when campuses are reopened. So we will be able to introduce those small push in behaviors, this gentle persuasions, like, you don't have to use plastic. So if you're talking about canteen, avoid wastage of food, try to make no fry food, just, healthy diets and all. So that all will come once our campus reopens. And then the last part of this would be measuring change in the behavior. And I think today's webinar would be so very useful for us to, try to be able to improve upon what we are already doing in this respect. So thank you so much for being a patient audience. Over to you, Archana ma'am.
Thank you, Gurminder ji. Amazing presentation, and I must compliment you all on the efforts and initiatives that you've taken to make your campus green. I really love the photographs. It's such a beautiful campus, and the campaign that you've been running, amazing stuff. I must congratulate you on that. Professor Gill, would you like to add anything?
We wish we can invite all of you to our campus soon, and it would be a real enlightening talk to have from all of you.
Let's just
hope we are learning lessons for us. I'm sure we have become more aware, and we can add on to our project that we are already doing. Yes, Kaval.
Actually, you know what, that at college level we are it's a team of very motivated teachers, and we do have our teachers among us. A few of them have already joined, and few of them I don't see on the screen. So Gurminder is another one. Rekha is another my co-team member, very motivated. Dr. Japan Jyotkar, she's I don't see her on screen, but she's also a part of the project. And another Neha, Dr. Neha. She's also a part of the project, but she suffered with COVID, and I think she's just in the recovering mode. But I think more so that all of the teachers are there. So this is not a project that we restrict to ourselves. We are always open to invite more and more faculty members, let more and more faculty members and students join us. And I think it is something that we have to inculcate that habit, that they have to modify their behavior towards sustainability. I think the other speakers they were also saying the same, that small behavioral change can bring a lot of difference. And I think I also spoke about how we can change the consumption patterns. So basically, it is all about consumption patterns. So if we are able to bring some change in the consumption pattern, I think we will be able to contribute our bit towards sustainability. But I'm very happy that Gurminder gave a very good presentation. So thank you, Gurminder. And Rekha is always there for tech support and everything. And it's a good team. And now that you have joined our team, so I think we all be together.
Yeah.
Right. So I think now we move on to the question answer session.
Yeah.
And that part has to be taken up by you, Archana. So I think you can take up that.
Thank you, Dr. Gill. I mean, there were many questions that I received prior to scheduling this webinar. I tried to shortlist some of them. I believe a lot of questions have already been answered in the interventions that our key panelists made. I know that we're already running behind schedule, and it's a topic that when you start speaking on it, you can just go on and there is no end, but we have to be mindful of the timelines of both our panelists as well as the participants who are there. So I will now only ask one very important question, which I believe is very critical in the current sense. We've talked about changing consumption habits. We've talked about organic food. We've talked about what individual habits can we as a common man, as a common consumer can adopt. But one question that remains in the current context, especially, how affordable is this change? How cool is this change if we have to make this change happen? So I would now request either Nivedita or Ganesh or Gaytri ji or any of the teachers to answer this very critical question: how affordable it is for students to make this change happen? If not, then how can we make that? How can we make it more affordable?
Shall I?
Nivedita, yes, please.
Okay, so I would say it's so simple, you know, and I think was it Gandhi who said, "Live simply so that others may simply live," you know. So I think just simplify life. I think what we've done is complicating our lives through consumerism, increasing consumption. I think, and you know, like if you just simplify your needs, if you also start living ecologically, I know initially it looks like it's more expensive, you know, to make that switch. But that's exactly what we're trying to do. So what we're trying to do is to bring about those economies of scale by increasing demand, you know. And I think, you know, very gradually, when more and more people start demanding ecological products or lifestyles or to simplify their lives, I think in the slightly middle run, it will come down to be much more affordable than actually spending on so-called unecological products, you know. And also, I mean, look at the bills, you know, look at the bills, say hospital bills or medicine bills that you avoid, you know, by simply going organic or leading more chemical-free lifestyles. I think, and it's not just about economy, it's all about, you know, like gelling with nature. And I think then you start thinking in terms of economy very soon.
Very interesting observation. I know, I mean, that as you rightly mentioned, I mean, even though we are saving costs somewhere, but then ultimately if our health is impacted, we are paying it somewhere else. So the health, I think, certainly should be our priority, and that's where we should start asking for more organic and more sustainable products, and that's when it'll become more mainstream as well as more affordable. Gaytri ji, I know you've raised your hand. Would you like to say anything?
Just simply, I think you've said it anyway, which is, you know, I'm not an economics person at all. I'm a student of geography. But one thing I understand, which is essentially demand, right? And we're talking to College of Commerce, and who else better than the College of Commerce to tell us about demand? So it's all about demand. So if there is enough education and awareness, and I come back to my pet topic, if there is another education and awareness, and if that all the youth decide and make a commitment that this is what we want, and this is what we need, and we want to have it, I don't think any company, you know, in the past days, when they introduced the whole concept of consumerism, like how we all became consumers and so consumeristic, was most of the advertising companies were held responsible because they had a way of advertising which always, they used to advertise for young people to get addicted, isn't it? To whatever that they wanted us to get addicted to. And we got addicted for the young people. And it is the same young people today who can just turn back. And we've got examples in India. We've got some wonderful examples of young heroes, young sustainability heroes and leadership people. We are seeing this. You've heard about that Titaner girl, Sneha Shahi, who went around cleaning the river and got the crocodiles back. And you heard about so many. They've become so smart now and they know so much. If I can say it in Hindi, man mein thaan le bacche, तो कोई रोक नहीं सकता इस चीज को, और ये अफोर्डेबल अपने आप हो जाएगा. एंड जितने जल्दी होएगा ये उतना, जितना आवाज उठाएंगे बच्चे उतना जल्दी ये अफोर्डेबल हो जाएगा. And I think it is all up to them, and they can do it and they will do it. They're already doing it, I think, because, I mean, my generation has been responsible for destroying the environment as we see it today. And I feel very guilty and I apologize to all the youth. I think we did something wrong, terribly wrong, and we are expecting them to correct all that. And I think they will correct it. Affordable ho jayega when they raise that voice enough.
Sir, can I come in?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a wishful thinking what Vedita said, that we need to simplify our lifestyle. But we know that it has not happened. And we all know that the way we are going, nobody likes to go back to what we were, let's say, 30, 40 years back. So one of the way forward is that we innovate. That's like the governments and the corporates been innovating that if the oil is eating up too much of resources, then we rely on the electric vehicles. That's the way we are doing it. And similarly, if coal is the resources that is polluting the atmosphere, we are relying more on renewable energies, and we have stiff targets for the government. Similarly, like we live in Delhi, and then we say that we should use more public transport. But if the city is designed like this, that where the incentive to travel by public transport is minimal, so then you can have a innovation like smart cities, where you actually design a city where you actually have a last mile connectivity through public transport. So in my opinion, the affordability is quite linked to the innovation in the decision making and the policy making.
Very rightly, sir. Very valid point and very important point. I think there is this need for innovation in not just in policy making, but also in the kind of products that industry is producing, in the kind of business models that they are using. So now I'm not sure, but sharing and renting business models are coming up rather than owning a product. You can share or rent or swap things. So some of these things are coming, and I think we have this very mindful youth who's going to develop more innovative business models and come up with more innovative solutions. I see Ganesh has also raised a hand. Yes, Ganesh.
So I just adding to what the other expert said, like we have heard it ad nauseum, necessity is the mother of invention. I mean, you need to, progress is actually given, humankind will always endeavor to progress. At the same time, we are seeing some of the, the not so good effects of the progress, where, we have been using up our resources and then straining the resources that's available. It's not infinite. These are finite resources. And we are putting a strain on that. Thereby, consequently, we are seeing so many other, the global, issues like climate change, etc. But I am very optimistic, that people will actually slowly, imbibe sustainability and then sustainable living, and then look forward to, having a consumption, but the pattern of consumption will slowly change, where they will, have more sustainable elements coming in. I'm very optimistic about it. So we are seeing that, like, the principal sir said, how, we are seeing that in transportation. We are seeing that in various, practices like Nivedita was talking about agri. These are being slowly adopted, but are we looking at the kind of pace and the change that we want to or wish to have it? Perhaps not, but it's going to come in. I'm seeing that around me, in our own life, in our individual life. That's where I always say that, it's the individual, because society is a collective of the individuals. So if each of us imbibe even one or two elements of this, we can see the change definitely around us. And then youth is very important. Like the previous speaker said that we have actually spoiled the environment or created all this mess, and then we expect the youth. But that's a fact. It's a fact that we cannot run away from, and it's already happened. So let's see how we can, going forward, adopt a lot of sustainable practices, and then definitely see change in the global environment the way we want it to be seen. This is my small addition to what the other speakers were saying.
Thank you so much, Ganesh. So before we end, I would invite all our speakers to give one short, crisp, clear message to youth. How can they become more sustainable? How can they drive this change towards more sustainable consumption pattern? One short message within a minute. I'll start with Nivedita first.
Okay, make the switch, I would say. Make the switch to sustainable consumption.
Amazing. I think it's going to stay with our youth. Make a switch. Please do make a switch. I'll now invite Ganesh.
3 R's: adopt it, imbibe it, practice it in earnest at the individual level. Reduce, recycle, and then reuse.
Amazing. Perfect. I would now invite Principal Sir, Mr. Jatinder B. Singh, sir. Sir, do you have a message for the students? You're on mute, sir. You're on mute.
I think the youth should do the pilot study in their own institute so that they can enlarge it for the society.
Thank you so much, sir. Amazing. Dr. Gill, Dr. Gurminder Kaur.
I think we have to be, the efficient energy consumer. Efficient energy consumer. So I think there's a concept of planned obsolescence. So all the corporates, all the big multinationals, they are doing this planned obsolescence. They plan as to within how much time a TV will be obsolete, so that you can buy another one, right? So we have to really see that all these corporates, they own up their responsibility. So for the youth, I think we have to be very, very conscious enough, and we really have to conserve the energy. Energy is my passionate area, and I would really want, everyone to consume energy efficiently.
Archana, you should not be asking one-liner from a professor.
I have understood that.
No, but I'll give one line.
Yes, you are correct. Sir is correct.
Then it is important.
I'll just give one line. First, we have to be ready for change. And, being mentally ready takes time. Then adapting to change becomes simpler. So first, we have to be very, very ready for change.
Be ready for change.
I think this is what the concept of these nudges, which are the small, gentle persuasions are all about.
No, I agree. I think there is this mental block, and once you pass that block,
and for that block, you do need some gentle, sweet persuasions at times.
Agree. And you as professors, I am sure you're doing an amazing job providing those nudges to the students. Dr. Rekha, do you want to say something?
I think what one can say is, ab thaan li hai, karne ki bari hai. So I think all has been said. Now action is needed. So I think that is the slogan that should be there.
Thank you. Gaytri ji.
It's your world. Just take it back.
Amazing. It's your world. Take it back. Any of the students want to say something? Here is your chance. I mean, I'm sure we can invite 1 or 2 students to say something before we close. Anyone wants to say anything? Or, meanwhile, if you're thinking about something, I would just like to say that We can share the email addresses of all the speakers with you. If you have any specific question for any speakers, feel free to reach out to me. I can connect you with the relevant speaker, and I'm sure they'll be very happy to connect with you and answer all your questions, all your inhibitions that you have in your mind, we'll be happy to collaborate and give whatever experience that we have gained and share it with you. Any student want to say anything now?
I think all students are on mute.
Okay.
Except our co-host, the tech team. So I think anybody from the tech team can say something.
Anyone, guys?
So we've received a message on chat that there is enough for everyone's need, but never enough for everyone's greed, as Gandhiji said. So with this message, I think we can close our webinar. Very interesting conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Gill, Principal Sir, ma'am, all the professors, Gaytri ji, our speakers, Nivedita, Ganesh, and everyone else for joining us today. I'm sure students learned a lot, and we'll be happy to organize similar sessions in future. Whatever topic, just let us know what topic would you like to know more about, and we'll be happy to organize similar sessions. Principal sir said that from industry side, if there are some experience sharing, I can certainly try and arrange for industry leaders and experts to give some guest lectures if you so desire. And this is it. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful morning. Thank you for staying with us despite.
You need to be thanked. You need to be thanked for that. And for that, I'm inviting Dr. Rekha.
Rekha will do that.
Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
So I will just take a minute only. Dear friends, it's really my privilege to thank every green nudger, who has joined today, either as a speaker or as a participant or member of the GGS team. All of us, that is Switch-Asia, UNEP, college, have really worked very hard to make this celebration of World Environment Day a great success. Hope we would bring a change in our behavior and make the life more sustainable in consumption and production terms. As Gayatri ma'am said, कि अब ठान लिया है तो जरूर हो जाएगा. I think the simple tips given by Mr. Ganesha, we will wash the packaging utensils or the containers that we get. I think that is the first beginning which I am going to do today. Though I was doing it earlier also, but I think now I will do it with more conscience. That is it. All of you are requested to fill the feedback form also. Please do that. I think the team will be floating that and circulating in the chat box.
It's already
Thank
done.
you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Happy World Environment Day.
Yeah.